Manuel comes from Chihuahua, Mexico, which is marked by the CHH on a map. Some of his family still does not have a green card, so I'll be keeping important details private. Currently, there's about 800,000 residents living in Chihuahua, which is a populous city. Manuel spent 10 years in Chihuahua before coming to the U.S. There are about 122 million people living in Mexico, and about 45% of those people are living in what we call poverty. The value of the Mexican peso has gradually sunk over recent years, and people tend to use U.S. dollars. Manuel was fortunate enough to have working parents and to be above the poverty line. Daily life for Manuel as a younger kid was going to school and playing soccer with neighborhood friends. The area had little to no violence. Immigration is the action of coming to live permanently in a foreign country. The motives behind this vary, but are usually similar. The majority of immigrants coming to the U.S. seek a better life regarding health, labor, and cost of living standards. It is also common for immigrants to come to the U.S. because members of their family have already done so. My English class read a number of publications that illustrated train hopping and its dangers. Kids, usually preteens, climb on trains that are headed towards the U.S. in search of a loved one that moved to the U.S. Many of these kids die or are seriously injured from an accident from this process. Manuel knew several families that still grieve their lost children. Immigration has an effect on a country's economy because jobs are usually taken for less money and taxes go unpaid because of not having citizenship or a non-under-the-table job. Growing up in an environment where education is not as valued and money is harder to get leads to many adolescents to get involved with the sale of illegal drugs to make a living. The lack of education leaves little opportunities once a person goes down this path. The main reason that Manuel and his family came to the U.S. was so that Manuel and his siblings could get a proper education. Manuel's parents resented the fact that they were denied this and sought a better future for their children. Manuel says he misses the summer smell of his neighborhood when he stepped outside in the morning. He had spent 10 happy years in Chihuahua before his dad was given a new opportunity for the family. I asked him where he thought his future life was headed before he moved to the U.S., and his response was interesting. He believed that he would have continued to play soccer and would have attempted to make a living from it. He also believes that he would have missed opportunities that he now has, such as education and our freedoms. When I asked Manuel if the process of immigration was more difficult than he expected, he gave me a child's account of the experience. He described not knowing how the process worked and being aware of kids dying while boarding trains. His family's transportation to the U.S. was through an underground passageway and not difficult. Manuel's dad met a group of people at a truck club, and after a number of years, he revealed to his family the way out that these people provided. Manuel says he did feel like his life was in danger when he had to have a blindfold on, but his fears were put at bay with his parents' calm words. The smuggler, also known as the Coyote, had a place for Manuel's family to stay in and get started. It was located in Southern California, and the family shared their apartment with another family for a whole year. Manuel's mom worked day shift at a nearby hotel, and Manuel's dad worked as a day laborer. They saved money and bought an old car and left California. I asked Manuel how he felt about his decision, and he said that he felt bad for leaving friends and family behind. This brought a lot of shame to him for a long period of time, but he came to realize that his family only had good intentions for their actions. His family hoped to bring others to the U.S. as well. Manuel planned to spend a long period of his life here in the U.S., but to later move back to Mexico and give back to the community. He wants to teach English and help build schools. He did not leave any important belongings behind in Mexico except for his grandmother's necklace, which was misplaced during the moving process, and it was all they had left of her. He also wants to visit relatives. Regarding Manuel's initial expectations of the U.S., he describes his first moments here as breathtaking. There's food in every direction and opportunities all around. People are generally nice. After he left the crowded apartment, he said this became even more true. Manuel still talks to his dad's side of the family, who supports their decision to immigrate. They talk by phone more than once a month and update each other in what's going on in their lives. His mother's side of the family does not reach out to them, and they haven't talked in about 2 years. Manuel says he started learning English before coming to the U.S., and getting the basics down was very important for him. He learned English faster and had less of an accent compared to those around him. He felt very comfortable after only 3 years with his language skills. Manuel and his family have not yet visited Mexico since immigration and do not have plans to in the near future. Manuel describes it as a very expensive and inconvenient process, and it is not a good time to leave the U.S. However, he says he and his family will visit within the next 3 years. I asked him if he still has a lot of Mexican culture in him regarding what he eats, what he celebrates. He says nothing will ever compare to his love for Mexican food, but the American burger comes close. He celebrates all of the Mexican holidays at home or in restaurants nowadays, and is still attached to his culture. Manuel thinks highly of the American education system and wants to implement many of his specialties back in his home country. He still plays soccer at least twice a week with nearby friends in the States. I asked him to rate the way he is initially treated in the U.S. on a scale of 1 to 10, and he said 8. People smiled a lot and were very open and honest with his family. He describes his life as great and enjoys school. Since the process of getting a green card is exhausting and threatening to the family's well-being, Manuel, his parents, and 2 of his older siblings have been given illegal green cards that they hope to one day legalize. The future looks bright for Manuel and his family. Manuel is 18 now and has had a long-term girlfriend for 3 years. He hopes to start a family one day. That's the end of this immigration story.